uh, the hardest subjects for the children. In today's world where both parents are working, they don't have the luxury of time of really helping their children with homework. This is why this is the inspiration why we brought Galileo to the Philippines. Galileo is to empower learners by bringing them opportunities for learning. Continually innovating, and in order to make learners of math, and we would like to make more accessible and meaningful to the pupils. And that is why we have partnered with Adventure Learning from Singapore. Adventure Learning is headed by Dr. Rosalind Pham and Dr. Tang Wee Kee, two of the most legendary math professors at the National Institute of Education, Singapore. Adventure materials complement our Galileo Singapore math program as it empowers learners to learn math by providing them with fun and meaningful approach to learn and master the subject. And with it, Chua and Scotty Chua, both powerhouses when it comes to math. They will give us a walkthrough on the adventure learning materials. Everyone today is lucky to learn under Dr. Tina and Scott because, like our Singaporean partners, they are both legendary. So with this, I wish everyone a Galileo-rific day of learning. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Scott. Hi, good morning. Um, yeah, as my mom says, my batch at Xavier was the first one to have model method. So what they did was parang padaplis lang. They said, okay, well here's another way that you can also do your math problems. And they just gave us worksheets and quizzes on model approach without telling us what it was. So at that time, wala pa yung mga new textbooks for model method. They hadn't been imported into the Philippines yet. Wala pa rin gumagawa locally for these textbooks. So we were really doing it off of worksheets. It's only after one whole quarter of having solved using model method that the school came out and said, okay, actually, what we've been doing is transitioning to a new curriculum. And from this point onwards, Singapore Math and Kaya. Which is quite good. Um, it was a transition period, so at the start, medyo nahirapan na rin yung mga kaklase ko. But overall, after 1 year, 2 years, we began going to algebra, when we moved into high school. I think it was easier for everyone. Because conceptually, I think it's easier with a demo. You can try that now. 13 minus 5, tapos 7. Which is fine. 8. Sorry, yes, 8. Powerhouse pala. But with model approach, what we do is we use it with boxes. So instead of X na medyo hindi siya concrete, we use boxes like 1 box, 2 box, and 3 boxes. If we say that these 3 boxes, which are all the same size, so uniform size sila, all of these represent 12. What does 1 box represent? 4.
It's intuitive.
So it's the same as saying yung 3x equals 12, divide both sides by 3, gives you x equals 4. The same thing, but it's much easier to see because boxes sila, and you can see what's happening.
Yes, you can see it.
So the question is, at a fundraising event, Master 4 sold popcorn and raised $278. Miss Tree raised $46 more than Master 4 by selling cupcakes, and 8 Juniors Game Stall raised $500. Actually, this is all scanned from yung Adventures magazine. So parang may na siya design.
Which is this. So this is partially solved for you. So this is the model approach. So grade 2, they don't do any equations. Okay? Kasi yung mga bata, mahirap yung equation. So actually, they will just draw. It's very intuitive if you don't know anything to draw something. So Master 4, you draw this, 278. Kanya. So you draw a box, label mo 278. Yan yung una.
Then the next one we know is that Miss 3 raised 46 more. So my clue na rin yan. We know that if she raised 46 more, she must have at least raised the same amount. So we can draw the same box again.
Yeah. So 46 more. Okay, so ang gagawin, di ba, 278 muna, pareho yan. Pero plus 46. So, may isang box na mas maliit, you can just, by this time, the teacher can probably ask the children, comparing 278 and 46. How will it be bigger? Will it be smaller? Will it be half? You don't need very exact. But you already have number sense. So isang question na yan, grade 2, meron kang number sense. So roughly, 200 more than 250, meron kang 46. So very, very roughly, ano siya, 1/2, 1/3, 1/4, 1/5? What do you think? Without computing.
No, this is harder enough because once you have 278, you have 46. It's harder to tell how to go to 500. So you can represent the whole 500 using a long, say, this is 500. So now we've represented all the information we know. And the last thing is, what do we want to know? Now, what's the question? And the question is, how much more money did 8 Junior raise than Miss 3? Which is represented by this section here. Yeah. You can see 8 Junior, his whole box of 500. Miss 3's box, aning bitaw, is how much more does he have? And so this is our unknown. And step 1, 278 plus 46.
So kung ako yung bata, ito yung kailangan niyo, ito yung unknown. So tatanungin ng teacher, how can you get the unknown? Okay? So if you look through this, what do you have? Ito alam mo. So obviously, ano yung gagawin mo? Wala nang iba eh. You have to get what? Which? Master 4, Miss 3, or 8? First, before you can do this. Anyone? That I'm not my student. I know they know. What would the obvious one be? Alam natin si Master 4. So kailangan Miss 3. Okay? What do we have to get of Miss 3? We have to get this question mark. So yung total. Alam natin, we have to get that. Okay? So you get that first. Kailangan itong total. So Scott, just very quickly, what's the total?
So 324.
Yeah. So alam natin, 324 na. So alam ng bata, itong buo, 324. Itong buo, 324. Tapos na. So, most of the children now will know if this is 324 and this is 500, ano to, you will have to subtract. Ayun. So you actually answer this without any equation. That is model approach. So most kids, I don't see any kid who didn't like it.
Yeah. The tank was 35% filled with water. He poured out 60% of the water from the tank. If he subsequently poured in 344 cubic centimeters of water to fill the tank completely, what is the capacity of the tank?
Nakakatakot siya, no? You read it? Di ba? Kahit na teacher tayo, nakakatakot. But you're sure this is doable? Yeah.
So this one is, it's hard to cut it up into small squares because we're going to have 100 of them, but we can still use drawing to figure out what's going on. I can say somewhere here is my 35%. Nah, that's filled. And then if I pour out 60% of the water from the tank, I can cut up into 5 and say 60%. This is grade 6 now, so we're making some big leaps in assumptions now. We can say 60% is this poured out of the tank.
By grade 6, they already know fractions because they started fractions in grade 2, and they already know how to convert fractions and decimals. So the computation part they know. We're now doing the problem solving.
And then
That may be able to explain 60% and the 5.
yeah, so one of the tricks later on in model approach is if you have out of 100, if you're just going to do 60%, you can cut up into 5 para take 20%, and then 60% becomes 3 boxes. In the same way, if you have 25%, 50%, 75%, you can cut up your 100% to 4. Yes, and then you can represent. So this stage, di pa tapos now. If he subsequently poured in 344 cubic centimeters of water to fill the tank completely, what is the capacity of the tank? So we know we poured out this much. So parang na-shaded na siya. And only these 2 small boxes are left. Then all of this is this 344 cubic centimeters to fill the tank. This is 35%, and two of these 5 portions in natira, we do have to compute and say this is 14%, and therefore this is 86%. Which one? So if I say 35, let's simplify now. Let's take this part of the model out. Let's say that 35 is over 5 boxes. Then I immediately know if 35 is 5 boxes, and my 5 are all the same size, what's my 1 box? So what's my 2 box? 86 gives you what? Gives you 4. 4. And so 4 is my what? What is 4? If 86% is 1, right? So my 1% of the tank is 4. So my 100% of the tank is 400 cubic centimeters. We're trying to scale it down and know what is my 1 box. Because if I know what is my 1 box, I will know what is my 10 boxes. I will know my 100 boxes. So if we run through again now.
Go through it again.
Yeah.
Slowly.
You say, okay, a tank is 35% filled with water. So that's the small part out of 100. And I poured out 60% of the water. So I cut up this part into 5 pieces. And I shade out 3 of them para 60% mawala. And then I subsequently poured in 344 cubic centimeters. And so if these 2 boxes are what's left in my tank, to fill up my tank, all of this must be 344. Then we apply model method twice. We first say that if 35 is 5 boxes, then 1 box is 7%, then 2 boxes are 14%. And we think in terms of then we leave that behind, and now we say, now we know this is 14%. Then the rest of this, the 344 must be 86%, and then without drawing that, we can say, if 344 is my 86, then my 1% is just 4, then my 100% of the tank is 400.